Take a look in your Bibles, Exodus chapter 3, verse 1 through 3. They're reading from the New Living Translation. And there you'll find these words. One day Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law Jethro, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock far into the wilderness and came to Sinai, the mountain of God. And there the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a blazing fire from the middle of a bush. And Moses stared in amazement. And though the bush was engulfed in flames, it didn't burn up. This is amazing, Moses said to himself. Why isn't that bush burning up? I must go see it. I'm going to talk today from the subject, fired up, not burned out. Fired up, not burned out. Here Moses is on the backside of the desert. He's in a place where he is isolated. He's away from the place where he was raised, and he had to climb Mount Horeb, Mount Sinai, and Moses was exhausted. Have you ever been in a place where you were isolated and exhausted? We discover at times like that God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. In other words, sometimes we depend on God the most when we're at our weakest moments. He has a way of reaching us right where we are. You can never get to a place where the arms of God cannot reach you. And here God set a bush on fire, not to burn the bush, but just to get Moses' attention, just to pique his curiosity, so that Moses would turn aside and see something that was unusual and extraordinary, because God uses the extraordinary to get your attention. If it were not extraordinary, it wouldn't get your attention. You know, just average looking people don't get your attention. But if somebody has some pizzazz to them and they pass by you, now the question is, who was that? It's not just an ordinary walk that captures your attention and draws you in. It's when somebody has a strut, when somebody has a pimp, a lean, a swag, but it has to be something that is a bit exceptional to capture your attention. And my question to you is, what is God setting on fire in your life to get your attention so that you will talk to him and he can set you on your mission? What is God setting on fire in your life just so that you'll talk to him and that he can set you on your mission? Sometimes God will set something on fire, not to bring destruction to your life, but just to get your attention, to keep you from destroying yourself. What's God setting on fire in your life? You see, he has to use the extraordinary, because in the human brain, we have this thing called the reticular activation system. And the reticular activation system is a filtering system in the brain that actually allows us to pay attention to three particular things. It allows us to pay attention to the unusual or the extraordinary. It allows us to pay attention to things that pose a threat to us. And it allows us to pay attention to things that we value. Things that we value. So just think about the fact that all day, every day, you know, you're seeing ads on billboards, in magazines, television, popping up on the internet, on your cell phone all day long. And you see thousands of advertisements every day. Your mind is designed to block out the vast majority of those, except for those three categories: something that is unusual, something that poses a threat to you, and then other things that you value. That's why when you shop online and you could be doing something else and they'll pop up and show a watch and show some shoes or pocketbook, something that you were looking at, because they know it's of interest to you because you were searching it. And now they're popping it up because they know that'll get your attention because it's something that you value. Or if it's something that poses a threat, and that's why they use fear tactics. That's why if you're walking through the woods and you look down and you see a snake, and then second inspection discovers that it was just a stick. But when you thought it was a snake, it was posing a threat, so that gets your attention. And if it's something that is unusual, it'll get your attention. So your brain uses these three things to filter out all of these other impulses that you're getting. And so those are the only three things that your mind is trying to shield you from all of the stimuli that you're getting all day long. To say, I'm only going to expose you to something that's unusual. I'm going to expose you to things that pose a threat to you so you can be aware of your surroundings. And I'm going to expose you to the things that you value. That's your reticular activation system. See, so Moses had been ignoring stuff. And so God says, I got to get his attention. I got to get his boy's attention. He's just around here just whistling. And he's unaware that I've got a mission for him. And God says, how do I get his attention? God says, I'll do something unusual. I'll set a bush on fire, and I have no intention on burning it up because I'm not cold. So I'm not trying to warm myself. But he says, I'll get his attention. And it got Moses' attention. He saw a bush on fire, and now he comes closer to see why the bush is on fire, but it's not burning. It's not being consumed. And so God knows how to be fired up without ever losing his cool. And so how do you become fired up and not burned out? And I love the fact that God can speak amid our curiosity. God can speak amid our curiosity. Do you know that God is not intimidated by the fact that you have questions? He loves that. In fact, so he says, come on in, be drawn into me. And if any of you lack wisdom, he says, let him ask of God, who gives to all people, liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given. If you've got questions, God's got answers. He says, just come on in, come on in. Notice what he said in Exodus chapter 3 and verse 4, that when the Lord saw Moses coming to take a closer look, God called to him from the middle of the bush, Moses, Moses. Here I am, Moses replied. Because God is speaking to him out of his curiosity. Now God's got his attention, and now he calls to him from the unusual thing. What is God calling to you from in your life that is unusual? What has he set on fire in your life? Is it a relationship? And you wonder why every time they open their mouth, fire is coming out? And it won't stop? The fire is burning, but it won't be consumed. It just keeps on coming. Maybe God's trying to get your attention because maybe God has something to say to you. You know that God is a consuming fire. Now here's the dangerous thing about anything that gives light. Whether it's a kerosene lamp, some of you here are old enough to remember when we didn't have electricity. I'm sure Mother Rowland remembers that. She's in the house today. She's 102 years old. And they used to use kerosene lamps and things like that. But here's the thing, whatever gives light must also endure burning. And when you give light to other people, you endure burning. And so it's amazing. God is a source of light. And whatever gives light endures burning. So candle, if it gives light, it's because it's burning. But you know that Jesus has given us a light, and yet we don't burn out? Because did you know that you are glowing and I'm glowing? Do you know that we all have a light? Some other folks in other strange religions and stuff, you know, they might call it an aura. But we are actually all emitting light. We are light emitting beings. Do you know that if you had on special optics, each of us, this light that we emit from our bodies, you know what it is? It's called infrared light. And if you put on special goggles, you could see it. They could, if you were hiding behind the wall, they could look through and see the thermal light that is coming from your body. And that's why when a whole lot of people get together in a room, it gets warm. And that's why if you're going to have a lot of people in a room, you have to have it cooler because they're bringing in a fire. You don't have to have it. It's not that your air conditioning is not working. You got fire in the house. It's fire in the house. You get a whole lot of folks in the house, and it's just fire. I was ministering over in Paris, France. There were 8,000 people crammed in the building. I was sweating like T.D. Jakes. I lost my cool. There was too much fire in the house. Just fire. And my heart went out to the worship team that was praising and worshiping God. I was on fire. When I got up out of my seat, I had sweated through my clothes. My wife said, look. I was sitting down and sweating. And the praise team was up worshiping God. I couldn't understand it. But I understood that we are fire-carrying beings emitting light, an infrared light. You know, it is the same infrared light that we see used in our technology in remote controls that controls televisions and Blu-rays and computers. It's infrared light. Your body emanates that. It radiates that infrared light. If you had on special optics, you'd be able to see everybody's infrared light that's coming from them. And Jesus said, let this light shine. Let your light shine. So we have both a natural light and a spiritual light. You remember Jesus told us, Matthew chapter 5, verse 14 through 16, notice, you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do they light a lamp and put it on the basket, but on a lampstand, and it gives light to all who are in the house. So notice what he says, verse 16, let your light so shine before men that they see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. But the deal is that whatever produces light or burns needs a source of fuel. It needs a source of fuel. And you know, the natural sunlight is the thing that actually fuels us. And so that's why that all of our vegetation that we eat, it employs this process called photosynthesis. Did you learn about that in biology? Photosynthesis, it can translate and take from sunlight, and it'll take carbon dioxide, and it has an ability of being able to take carbon dioxide and water using photosynthesis and turn it into glucose, a sugar that actually feeds it and gives energy to the plants. From sunlight, from light alone, we would die without the sun. Number one, we'd freeze to death. And then we wouldn't have any food to eat, the vegetation. And even if you think that you could eat an animal, what do you think your animals are eating? They've got to eat something that's got the energy that comes from the sun. It's the light source. It's the light source. And so everything that gives light has to have a source. I mean, photosynthesis, it provides the basic energy for all organisms. But you see, the fuel of God is spirit. The fuel of God is called spirit. The fuel of God. And you know what? The fuel that God is a green spirit. It's a green fuel, I should say. It's green. In other words, it's a clean fuel. It'll never cause toxicity to the environment. It's a clean fuel. It has no negative side effects. It gives light to everybody. We know from 2 Corinthians 4:16 that though the outward man perish, the inward man is renewed day by day. So that's that life-giving force that comes by the Spirit of God, because God's Spirit is a fuel that helps our light to be able to shine. My question to you today is, are you fired up or burned out? Are you fired up or burned out? Are you fired up or burned out? Here's what burnout is. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, or mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. Burnout. It's a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. You'll experience then burnout. Are you burned out or fired up? Burnout has occurred in your life when you feel overwhelmed, emotionally drained, or unable to meet constant demands. You get to that place, you know that you burned out. These are signs that you've burned out, when you just are overwhelmed, emotionally drained, and unable to meet constant demands. You've experienced burnout. Because whatever is going to give light has to have a fuel. You fired up or burned out? And so then you have to ask the question, how do you stay on fire without burning out? See, that's what God did. He just lit a tree on fire and it didn't burn out. How do you stay on fire without burning out? You know, you ever see people get excited about something and then it'll last for a day or two, maybe a week, 2 weeks, and you feel like, give it time, they'll calm down. But how do you stay on fire without burning out? You have to ask yourself this question: what fuels you? What fuels you? Because everybody has to have something that is a fuel to their life. What fuels you to keep you from burning out? What is it that gives you the energy to get up and face the day and the week with enthusiasm? Or do you live saying, oh God? And some of you are excited because every time you have a weekend where the Monday is a holiday, you just seem to enjoy the whole weekend better. But what fuels you? What fuels you? You know that money is a fuel? It is a fuel. I mean, if you don't believe that money is a fuel, if somebody tells you they're getting ready to bless you with some money, it's like you get excited, you get energy. It's amazing. It acts like a drug. I mean, sometimes I've gone and I've taken money to people in the hospital, and they can be sick with IVs in and everything, but then it's like you just have given them a shot of epinephrine or something. Like they have just experienced methamphetamines, cocaine or something. They just money is a fuel. Money fuels people. There are some folks that's out working their tongues out because they are fueled by money. But it doesn't last. You can get everything that money has to offer to you and still be unhappy. Money is a fuel, though. Knowledge is a fuel. There's some people that are very passionate about knowledge, and so they go to school and they can get more degrees than a thermometer. Because they're fueled by knowledge. They're just fueled. And they love it in this information age where you can just Google this and Google that and just information. They are fueled by knowledge. What fuels you? What fuels you? Is it money? Is it knowledge? Other people are fueled by people. They're fueled by people. When I was 25 years old, I did a music album. And I recorded it in the studio. A friend of mine found a copy of my album over in Europe, sent it to me. I was so embarrassed. I thought that I had disposed of all of the copies. But when you record in a studio, you don't have the energy from people. And I would have preferred to have had a live recording with live bodies, because when you sing to people or talk to people, there is an energy that comes from people that energizes a singer or a speaker or an actor. And when you have to do it in a studio and there's nobody there, it's cold, it's empty, you don't have their fire. People are a fuel. And if you don't have a sufficient support network of people in your life, you run out of gas. There is a thing called people fuel. So you have to have a network of them. If you feel like you're in this world all alone, it's not a good thing, because people need people. 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 I was in Detroit yesterday funeralizing a pastor and who had 16 children. And on my way back into Atlanta yesterday, as soon as I landed last evening, it was amazing. A man caught me and he said, it just spoke to his loneliness. He said, Bishop, he says, I watch you on television, and I've been diagnosed with colon cancer. And he says, I want you to take my name and take my number and call and check on me after I have my surgery. He said, I need some money get the rest of my surgery, and I gave it to him. And I could feel and see that he was sick. And he said, here's my number. He said, just call me and check on me. And I'm like, you don't know me and I don't know you. How lonely it must be to be in a world. And he says the insurance folks told me that they're going to assign a nurse to me to take care of me until I'm back up on my feet. And he said that he doesn't have any people fuel. That you got to see a television preacher that you don't really know, and I don't know you, you don't know me, but you give me your number, and I'm going to call him. Because it's not good to be alone. The first time in all of creation that God said that something was not good, he says, it is not good that the man should be alone. Because people need people. There's a fuel and an energy, and more people are dying from loneliness than almost any other disease. Loneliness can kill you faster than anything else. And you can be lonely in a marriage. Oh my God. People fuel. What fuels you? Money? Is it knowledge? Is it people? Some people are fueled by attention, recognition. What fuels you? You know how some people just do anything for attention? Just anything for attention. I was on the plane the other day, and a little boy came down the aisle. He had blue hair. It engaged my reticular activation system immediately. He walked by my seat, and I said, dude, you got the coolest hair on the plane. He said, you got cool color too. It is what it is. But some folks are fueled by recognition and attention. Some folks are fueled by helping others. You help other people, you feel good. You get a adrenaline shot. It just blesses you. Some people are fueled when they use their gift, whether singing or dancing or poetry or creating something or, rearranging somebody's house, decorating it, decor, using their gift. Others are fueled by God himself. And when God is your fuel, you never run out. How do you stay on fire without burning out? Let me give you a remedy. Number one, we have to remain connected to Jesus Christ. We have to remain connected to Jesus Christ. We have to remain connected to Jesus Christ. St. John 15, notice what Jesus said to us in 3-5. You're already clean because of the word I've spoken to you. Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself. It must remain in the vine. Neither can you bear fruit unless you remain in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. So we have to remain connected to Jesus Christ. You have to abide in the vine. Remain in him. And how do you stay spiritually connected to Jesus? How do you stay connected to Jesus? You pray. You pray. You meditate in the Word of God. This is how you stay connected. You praise. That's why we praise him. Don't discount praise and worship. Coming in late and missing praise and worship. It's a connection. You worship. You fellowship with other believers who feed your faith. I didn't say everybody who calls themselves a Christian. Wow. But you fellowship with other believers who feed your faith. Not everybody feeds your faith and stimulates you to grow in God. You disciple other people. As you're discipling others, that connects you more to Christ. As you disciple others, it connects you more to Christ. And then as you share your faith with others, that keeps you actually connected to Jesus. Jesus said, abide in me. So you pray, you meditate in the Word, you praise, you worship God, you fellowship with other believers, you disciple others, and you share your faith with others. What recharges you? You have to keep yourself charged and recharged. I remember, when I first got my Apple phone and I plugged it into my computer, a question popped up on my phone. It said, because the only reason I plugged it in was so that I could charge it, because my, the phone was running out of juice, and especially after they had done an update and my thing was just drained my battery. And so I'm having to plug it up every time I got an opportunity. And it plugged up and it asked the question, trust this computer. And the only reason that it asked me, did I trust the computer, is because it knew that my connecting it to get the energy source to charge it was also going to expose my files that I had on my telephone to the computer. And it says, do you know whose computer this is? Can you trust it? And are you recharging by people that you can't trust?
Thank you for watching Power for Living with Bishop Dale C. Bronner. Join us again next time for Power for Living, where revelation is power. Power for living.